Hey everybody, what's up? This is Chris from T3 Handicapping. Thank you for joining me tonight for our 2021 Breeders' Cup preview. I want to say thank you first of all for watching this video, and hopefully we can win you some money at the Breeders' Cup. All right, so to kick off our 2021 T3 Breeders' Cup preview, we're going to jump in, and for those of you who may be seeing our products for the first time, I just wanted to make you familiar with a few of the ways that you can catch up with us online. So you can catch up with us on Facebook, T3 Handicapping, parentheses horse racing, but if you just type in T3 Handicapping, you should be able to find that just fine. You can find us on Twitter at Handicapping T3. You can purchase our products, the products that are used in this video to go over our top selections for the Breeders' Cup. You can do that at www.t3handicapping.weebly.com. And of course, if you're watching this, you already know that you can find us via YouTube, T3 Handicapping there as well. I usually do daily content for Indiana Grand. Their meet is wrapping up, but we'll probably do some other content throughout the winter months as we get ready for Pegasus Day. So, let's jump into a little bit about what our products look like, because that will help you to better understand some of the stuff that I go over here in my picks. So when you purchase our All Tracks package, that's for a given day. The first page will look like this. This is today's from Indiana Grand. This is an automated algorithm that just basically kicks out who are the top rated horses, A's, B's, and C's, if you know Steve Chris multi-ticket strategy. I use some variation on that, but generally speaking, it's going to kick out kind of who are your top contenders, your fringe contenders, and then who are kind of your long shots that come in to win. And then over here you have, here it says best bet, but a lot of the newer versions will say top play. And these are horses that rate out a certain number above their competition. Now, I will say these are all computer generated algorithms, so I would not play them blindly. I think they're best when you couple what the computer finds with your own handicapping opinions. But this will be the first page of any track that you purchase, or any of the tracks that you view when you purchase the All Tracks package. You can see that also coupled entries, there's a little note about that up here for tracks that applies to, which are in some of the upcoming packages here. So with that'll be the first page, that what you just saw, and then this is what the rest of the pages will look like. This is what I call the race summaries, and you can see up at the top you've got in the pink box there the track, the date, and the race. Off on the left hand side in the little green box there, you have the class level. The lower that number, the better the horses are. The higher, the worse they are. You've got distance, surface, and then you come over to the right-hand side, and in the little blue box, you've got a pace projection. Now, if you don't like the numbers, you can just use the little images. Turtle is a slow pace, deer is a medium pace or moderate pace, and then rabbit is a fast pace. And then you've also got the run profile style, so that's basically which type of run style has been doing well thus far. Our three main handicapping products that are included here are the grades. These are general power ratings, and this is where that first sheet is generated from. This is a really great way to see where horses sort of rate out, generally speaking, like when you put all their stuff together. I like to look at this mostly for the horse profile, kind of getting the names of the horses, the odds, and the run style to set up sort of my own pace scenario as well. It does help, though, to have the overall score. This middle piece here, the ratings box, is the one that I use the most. It's got the raw data that eventually goes to the far right side in this little box over here. But basically, these are the top 5 horses in all of the categories. So you can see not only who the horses are in order, but also it allows you to see them based on like you can see how much distance is in between each runner. So I like to use this a lot when putting together my picks, because even in this situation, if we were to just look at this grid, which was the original version of this, you would not think that the 3 has that great of a shot compared to the 1. But when you actually look over here, the 3 ends up becoming the top rated horse. Not by much, but by a little bit. So I really like to use this for a lot of my handicapping opinions when I'm going back and sort of modifying what's on this list on the left. It's kind of like a starting point and then a more detailed summary. This thing on the right, the T3 grid, is actually where our system got its name from. This is the original system that I developed several years ago. And basically, what it is it's a tic-tac-toe grid. So it's the top horse in several important categories, and then I put them together in ways that I found them to frequently hit together in exotic wagers. So you just basically play tic-tac-toe with this board, and when you hit three in a row, that can be your bet. So, like here, you've got tic-tac-toe on 1, 3, and 6 going diagonally this way. So I might do a try box 1, 3, 6. I might do a try box 1, 3, 6. This would be a try box 1, 3, 5. In this situation, a 1, 6. You might just do an exacta box. You've got 3 ones across, so you might do a win, place, show wager on that horse. So it kind of helps to build exotic features, exotic bets, and like I said, I've actually studied these and kind of put them together in ways that seem to be complementary, so that when the speed horse wins, one of these other ones is likely to connect with it as well. And then the last thing is down here in the blue is just the listing of the run styles. So when you see an F, it means a front runner. In this case, Indiana Grand. That's the run style that fits the best. And then you can see this one did not have any front runners, but it did have a couple versatile runners that can kind of track off the speed or go to the front either way. So that's the bulk of it. I wanted to make sure that I went over that quickly, so that if you're using the product for the first time, that you have the ability to not just blindly follow it, but also to understand sort of what it looks at, and how you can sort of use it as a handicapping tool more than just a straight pick sheet. We do have other things as well available. This is a ticket constructor, so if you want to construct multi-ticket approaches to like the pick 5, the pick 6, so on and so forth, you can purchase this off our website as well. It's a simple little calculator that allows you to build A, B, and C tickets. So you can go through and do that. You can build pick 6s all the way down to doubles. I think one of the best features about this, and one of the reasons why I'm so proud of it, is number one, you can eliminate single tickets pretty easily, which I know that some of the other products out there can do. You can press up specific opinions by going to one of the other tabs within the spreadsheet. And then the other thing is, like when you have a pick 6, this program will actually spit out every rolling daily double that fits within your pick 6 picks. So if you put together a pick 6 ticket and it's just too expensive and you need to cut it down or you need to go back, you actually already have a printout of all of the daily doubles that you could play, all of the rolling pick 3s, the pick 4 and the pick 5 as well. So it just makes it really nice if you are somebody who's on a tight budget and you need to oftentimes start with a pick 6 and then all of a sudden back yourself down to maybe a pick 4 or rolling pick 3s and so on and so forth. So those things are all available on our website, and you can use them for Breeders' Cup, or you can use them any day of the racing year. Now, before we get into our actual picks for today, I just want to take this opportunity to give you a chance to win some free stuff. So what I'm going to ask is, if you're watching this either live or if you're watching this back on YouTube at a later time, as long as it's before the Breeders' Cup, if you want to just go ahead and post your best bet of the Breeders' Cup in the comment section, or you can pop it in the chat. If your horse wins, I'll take all of the horses that won, I'll put them together in a drawing, and one lucky person will get free access to all tracks for the entire rest of the month of November. So take advantage of that. You must have your comment time-stamped prior to the first race of the Breeders' Cup, which is on Friday around 10:55 Pacific, I believe. So with that, let's go ahead and let's jump into our selections for today. So with this, I'm going to go through 3 selections for every race. The first selection that I will give you will be the top selection as based on our computer algorithm. The second one will be sort of what I believe to be the top contender or the top threat to that one based on our numbers, as well as just a little bit of handicapping, and then a live long shot, which again will focus on our handicapping products, but we'll implement a little bit of that subjectivity as well. So with the Juvenile Turf Sprint, which is our first Breeders' Cup race, it kicks off as race number 6 on Friday. If you this will be a good chance for you to test your silks knowledge, because you can already guess who our top pick is in each one based on the silks that are being worn. That one there is The heavy favorite, Averly Jane. Our numbers show that this horse is the strongest by about 13 points. Now, that is good enough to make it a lone A on our line. You will see it there. But what I have found, now this a lot of times deals with lower level horses, but when they start getting up, too far above everybody else, especially with these younger horses, that can often mean that they're somewhat vulnerable. And I do think Averly Jane is beatable in this spot. Certainly has the credentials and certainly has the ability to be successful, but has only run on the turf one time. It's a pretty big ask in the second turf start. So we'll take a look at some other options that we have. My biggest threat, the one that I'm most interested in, is actually at 6-1 and has a lot of unknowns to it, but I really like the number 7 Armor. When you go back and you look at the class, this one, as well as Go Bears Go and Twilight Jet, are all ahead of the game when it comes to class. The Euros tended to class up pretty well in this group. Armor also fits very well on speed. Our speed numbers look good for that one. Comes over with good connections and is in good form. So it's one that rates out on the B line in our formula, but I think this is one that could really spring an upset, and I think it's one that's kind of flying under the radar of a lot of the horses in this race. So I'm looking for Armor to be the biggest threat. And as our live long shot, I really like a horse who's going to be forwardly placed. Obviously, it's a turf sprint, so that's going to be good. American Speed has been important in these races. And I know it's an outside post, but I'm going to take Run Curtis Run as sort of my live long shot. Now, I don't know that this horse is going to win, but what I do know is that front-running American Speed matters here. And so I'm going to take that one as sort of my long shot play. I'm getting that one at 20-1. Running towards the front. Again, I don't know if the horse will win, but certainly could be interesting at that price. So that's going to be my live long shot in race number 6, which would be the first Breeders' Cup race. I'm going to avoid talking about them via numbers too much, just so that I don't make myself look foolish when I get off kilter with that. So this is the Juvenile Turf Sprint. Let's move on to the next race. The second Breeders' Cup race is the Juvenile Fillies. Now this one's really easy to identify who our top pick is going to be because, quite frankly, it says it right there on the silk. So as long as you can see that, you should have it down. Our top selection here is going to be Echo Zulu. So Echo Zulu is going to be our top selection here. Looks like we might be having a little bit of a streaming error. Okay. Hopefully we can get this remedied. I'm going to go ahead and just free up a little bit of space here so we can make this work. All right, and hopefully now we've got enough things going on here that should work. Okay, so we've got over here, Echo Zulu is going to be our top pick. And the biggest threat that I see for Echo Zulu here is not terribly surprising. I don't think this is going to be any shock, but I think Juju's Map. I really, really wanted to try and go, kind of work around it. And I wanted to find a way to make a case for Hidden Connection, but the price wasn't any better, and I was having to stretch a lot farther. So I'm going to take those two and hope that I can win. With either Juju's Map or Echo Zulu. In reality, I'm going to be pretty heavily into Echo Zulu anyway. My live long shot in this situation is the number 4 Tarabi. It's really hard to find a legitimate long shot that I like here, and so I'm going to go with Tarabi in hopes that I can win this one. Or at least be underneath. You're not going to get any value with Hidden Connection. This one is 12-1 on the morning line, is going to sit close, which at Del Mar is important, so we'll take that one. All right, so then we move on to the Juvenile Fillies Turf. And this is one where I feel like my selection is not the morning line favorite, but based on all the chatter that I'm hearing, I feel like that's probably not likely to continue. My top selection here is Koala Princess, the number 9 horse. who seems to be kind of the buzz horse. Um, but in a race that seems pretty wide open, I want somebody at a price 6 to 1 seems fair. The biggest threat that I see, I really like number 5 Bubble Rock. This one is 8 to 1, is only 4 points off the leader in our algorithm. Is going to be sitting close up. Now I know it's a longer run around here. It's not like the turf sprint, but at the same time, I think being forwardly placed is going to help. And perhaps Bubble Rock may actually be on the lead. I think there's a very legitimate case to be made for that one getting to the front. So we'll kind of have to wait and see how that one goes. My live long shot in this race, there were a lot of different ways that I could have gone. But this one, I just ended up going with Hello You. Now, this is kind of an interesting one, and this is where you have to sort of use a combination of the two. This whole day is about the juveniles, so we're looking at really young horses, unproven horses. There's going to be some horses that surprise, and Hello You actually rates out as our co-lowest horse on the formula. But I just have a good feeling about this one. It looks good on form. Its class is very reasonable for this group, and it has some pretty good ratings in terms of breeding and an ability that I think could really come into play. In a race where there's really no standouts at 10 to 1, I'm willing to take that chance. I think there are some other interesting horses. I mean, I looked at consumer spending. That horse is a deep closer. I do have the race projecting fast, but I'm not 100% sure if that one's there. Cairo Memories was another one that was very interesting to me. I thought maybe about Malavath for a little bit. I think Haughty has good some good ability as well, and could really surprise or could outrun the 10 to 1 morning line odds, and I think might get overlooked because originally was not scheduled to get into this race, only got here by scratch. Sail By is another one that's interesting. I've heard a couple people buzzing about that one. So this is a really tough race, and one that you're definitely going to want to go deep on. Our system would suggest that that's a good idea anyway, since 12 of the 14 horses got letter grades, which is not very typical. Moving on to the juvenile. The juvenile, if you know the silks, that is Jack Christopher, as he was running in the Champagne. Now, this is, for me, Jack Christopher is my pick, not so much because I think that the East Coast horses are that much better. In fact, I typically like the West Coast horses better when we get onto the dirt races. But for me, what it comes down to here is post position. The biggest threat, I think, obviously, is Corniche. If Corniche runs the best performance for Bob Baffert, then that's going to be something that's obviously going to be significant, and that horse is going to be a legit player. I don't like the fact that Corniche is a speed horse. Pinehurst is another speed horse who's going to be outside. I think there's going to be a lot of speed developing to their inside. And even though I think Corniche could still get to the front, I think Corniche is going to have to work a lot harder than he has in previous starts to get there. And I don't think that necessarily bodes well. Maybe Corniche could be the best one moving forward, but for right now, I'm taking Jack Christopher over Corniche. That's what the algorithm says, and that's what I'll be saying as well when my money goes to the windows. My live long shot in this one, this was a tough one to come up with a really good long shot. I mean, I think Command Performance is probably that one in Pinehurst. The thing that worries me about Pinehurst is also being out of Bob Baffert's barn. I don't know how that's going to work with Pinehurst and Corniche both being speed type horses. Typically, they work out sort of complementary tactics, both coming from that barn, and I just don't get a read on how they're going to play that one out. Corniche is the better one, so I'll go with it. But certainly there's a lot that have possibility at the top. But I ended up going with Papa Cap. Papa Cap is going to be my choice for sort of the live long shot, coming in at 15 to 1. Has a versatile style, shows up in a lot of different categories here, and most importantly has a foundation number only second to Corniche in this spot. So looks like a horse that should be able to get around okay. And that would be my live long shot. But again, this is another one where I think it's probably the top two, and then you move on. Papa Cap is going to be one that I look to underneath in some more of the smaller spots. And then we go to the juvenile turf, which is the fifth and final race on our Future Stars Friday. And I actually really like a long shot in this spot. The formula spit out that Dakota Gold would end up having the best time of things, best speed numbers based on our figures, best stamina is 100% at the distance, which is always good. Should be up and early near the front. Again, I know that's not as big of a thing on turf, but I always like to have a horse that's in the race right from the beginning. I think that's important. The other thing that I think is a little bit underrated about this horse is the last race was won at Monmouth. Now Monmouth has the crop rules that were much publicized earlier this year. Without that crop, is now we go to a Breeders' Cup in California where the whipping rules are very stringent. This one has experience winning on his own without the help of a crop. And so having that experience and being able to carry it, I think, is going to be a huge asset. I think this is a really tough race. And so I'm going to go with Dakota Gold on top. I do think Dubawi Legend, who is the favorite, is a very good horse. I would love Dubawi Legend if it was to the inside. It's not. It's to the outside, and I think that's the biggest reason why I think this one's going to have a little bit of trouble. And I don't love taking it as the favorite, albeit at 4-1, which is a generous price for a favorite. And then our live long shot in this one is going to be the number 5 Slipstream, going off at 12-1. Again, is going to be one towards the earlier part of the pack. Has the best overall ratings for us in terms of ability and breeding, and then also rates out well in class based on who they've been running against. Should get an okay chance to at least factor in the number. So that's where we're going on Future Stars Friday. Now we'll head on to our championship Saturday card. And we're going to start with the filly and mare sprint. Switch over here to my other page. And our first one is going to be the favorite. I think Gamin's going to be really tough here. Now, the one question will be, if Gamin just doesn't fire, and there has been a clunker or two, certainly the negative tests, or the positive tests, I should say, that were negative for the barn, certainly don't bode well. And now with that barn being under extra scrutiny, there has to be a little skepticism in wondering if this horse is going to be ready to fire its best shot, or if it even possibly can, given the current measure. So I hate to be a skeptic that way, but you have to be as a handicapper. So I will use Gamin, but I don't feel comfortable singling Gamin. I think the biggest threat here is actually Cece. I know a lot of people are going to be looking at Bella Sophia, but for me, Bella Sophia is going to try and run, I think, a very similar race to Gamin. So I don't really think that Bella Sophia has a chance to out Gamin. In that case, I'm going to say that Bella Sophia is going to serve one purpose and one purpose only, and that's hopefully to make Gamin work really hard at the beginning. I know that hasn't stopped Gamin in the past, but if she can make her run early, then maybe I pick up the pieces with CC coming late. My live long shot, I didn't have a lot of choices. I'm going to go with Edgeway. With Estilo Talentoso coming out, that probably would have been my selection there. But with that one out now, this is probably where I end up going. Just to make sure that just because there's not really any options. I don't think Proud Emma is going to do much, and that takes away any option over 10-1. So that one's pretty straightforward, Gamin, but I do think you want to have a little bit of backup just in case something is funny in the Baffert barn. Moving on to the Turf Sprint. This will be the second Breeders' Cup race on Saturday. And based on our numbers, Extravagant Kid comes out as the top selection. Now, I know this is a race that includes Golden Pal. So to go with Extravagant Kid is an interesting play. But like I said, this is based on our numbers. What I can tell you about our numbers is our numbers are very inconclusive about this entire race. This is a race where you should go as deep as your budget will allow you to go. Because I think there's a lot of different ways. Extravagant Kid rated out as our top. Our biggest threat, and I kind of agreed based on the numbers that I'm seeing, is Lieutenant Dan. But you've got Kamari, in the mix who's going to be a player. You've got Gear Jockey, Fast Boat. You've got Glass Slippers. I mean, who could forget Glass Slippers? That was my daughter's big pick from last year that made me all the money. Golden Pal shows up here. You've got horses up and down the river that have a chance to win. So I like Lieutenant Dan based on the numbers I saw on my sheet. Um, but I think this one's really wide open, and I think you should just cover as much ground as you can. My live long shot is going to be Charmaine's Mia. This is a situation where I kind of got tied up by what options will I really have? I mean, I think Bombard and I think the Critical Way are two that make a lot of sense here. Arrest Me Red is one that I think also could make a little bit of sense. I want forwardly placed horses. That's very important to me. And so, all those horses look reasonable. Bombard and Critical Way are both going to have to get in off the also eligibles list. Gear Jockey was the next on our list and is at 5-1, so I can't really use that one. Glass Slippers is 6-1, so I can't really use that one. And now I've got Charmaine's Mia, who rates 4 points ahead of Golden Pal based on our numbers. Now, again, that's where you, especially in a wide open race like this, you need to really use your handicapping acumen to make sense of the numbers. But if I'm going to take a price, I'm going to throw it underneath. I don't think you should be afraid of any price in this race. This race, to me, you've got a huge field going to the gate in a turf sprint. I think everything should be in play, and I think you are going to want horses, more to the inside, which bodes well for Lieutenant Dan, for Charmaine's Mia, Golden Pal. Those horses probably more than Extravagant Kid, but that's what the thing came out with. So that's what we're going with as our top pick here. Again, you have to be able to decipher whether you want to go directly with the computer numbers or whether you want to implement some of your own ideas as well. Moving on to the Dirt Mile. The Dirt Mile is the third race on Saturday, or the third Breeders' Cup race, and I'm going with Life is Good. Life is Good looked good in the return to the races, and life should be good for this one. My biggest threat is Silver State. The problem with Silver State is you got one really sort of eye-opening performance, puts them on the map, and then we haven't really seen that same level in some of the other places. I've picked this one before and gotten burned, but I do think if you're going to try and get around Life is Good, I think this is the other one that makes some sense. My live long shot is 8 Rings. I think 8 Rings is sitting on a big performance at 10-1. This is one I would definitely want to include, and I might even have some tickets with 8 Rings in the top spot. I don't know. I just think this horse could be ready to really fire one. So that's how I see the Dirt Mile. It's a shorter field, and it does look tough to get by Life is Good. Once you do, I think you're asking a lot from the horses to try and get there. So we'll move on. No need to overtalk a race that's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. We go to the Filly and Mare Turf. And in this one, I love Love. I think Love is going to get the best setup. We have Love rated out as the top horse from a speed perspective, just off the charts. Class, you can't argue with the horses it's been running against. Jockey Trainer's really good. Form is solid. Got an overall ability rating that's really good. So all things point to Love being the pick. Now, you do have to respect Warlike Goddess. Warlike Goddess is one that I think is very dangerous. But I always, when I see a dangerous horse, and I know he's done very well on the horses on the horse so far, but Julien Leparoux has never run against this level of competition. It's going to be a little crowded, a little congested in there, and this horse is going to be coming late. I don't know if this one can get the job done, but certainly the biggest threat. Certainly not going to be off my tickets, but I like Love better than I like Warlike Goddess. The computer agrees, but that's just from a handicapping perspective as well. My live long shot here, I kind of debated between the 1 and the 2, going to Vegas and Pocket Square. Pocket Square rated out 3 points higher overall, but I like going to Vegas. I think that inside trip, it doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of speed on the front, and that could bring going to Vegas a little bit more to the front, maybe even put her on the lead, and then from there, the horse is just kind of done what's been asked of it. It's been really impressive, and I like that the horse was supplemented. I think that that means something. There's a pretty strong intent there from the connection. So that's the one that I'm going to be using, kind of dabbling in underneath. But I do think this is, when you get through what I think are the top three horses, Love, Warlike Goddess, and Adaria. After that, I think you're going to be looking for some prices to kind of fill out your exotics. Moving on now to the sprint. And this one is one that I don't need to spend much time on at all. So the sprint, the top pick pretty overwhelmingly came out as Jackie's Warrior. Again, that matches up with my handicapping opinion. I think Jackie's Warrior is the best horse on this card. And when Jackie's Warrior gets to do what Jackie's Warrior likes to do, when Jackie's Warrior doesn't have to go 2 turns, when Jackie's Warrior gets to go short, Jackie's Warrior might be the best horse in training right now. Now, I know that doesn't, compare to the classic division horses, but when you just talk about what you're good at, I mean, this may be the most dominant horse we have in training right now. The biggest threat to Jackie's Warrior, I mean, the only thing I can think of is a Frenzy Fire Savaging. Outside of that, I think it's this horse. This horse's race to win. We have like Dr. Shivel as rating out okay. Special Reserve rates out fine. I just don't think those horses can match the blistering speed that Jackie's Warrior can carry going this distance. My live long shot underneath, Lexitonian. Lexitonian is a horse that, is a zigzag horse for me. I zig when I should zag. I zag when I should zig. So now that I've made this horse my live long shot, you should probably throw it off of all of your tickets. But it just seems like the right kind of race for Lexitonian to kind of suck up into the number. Horses that try and chase Jackie's Warrior, I think, are going to be absolutely destroyed. And I think maybe Lexitonian could find a little wiggle in through there, and maybe get up for a number at 20-1. CC Rocket's kind of interesting too. I just don't like the closing aspect, but if the race completely falls apart, that might be one that you could throw underneath. But it's Jackie's Warrior. It's Jackie's Warrior's world, and we're just living in it. Easy for me to say. The next race we have here, race number 6, is the mile. And our top selection actually came out to be Mo Forza. Mo Forza sits at 5-1 on the morning line, which puts it at the second choice. Behind the biggest threat, which I think is Space Blues. And if you've been following any of the trainer commentary from overseas, Space Blues is a highly regarded runner out of the Appleby barn. So that one looks like it could be ready for a big one. My live long shot in this one is Casa Creed. I think Casa Creed has run some sneaky good races in the past. We've got this one rating out as a co-second choice in overall speed. We have this one getting the best of race flow. We have this one being best of pace, which for a mid-pack horse to rate out as best of pace is pretty impressive. We have both this one, Ivar, and Mo Forza being competitive in the pace department. So there's a lot of things that make this 15-1 shot really intriguing to me. I mean, Raging Bull rated out really high. I've been down that road before. Solid horse, good horse, but one that I can just never seem to really figure out what it's going to do. You've got interesting horses in this race. I mean, Blowout is in there. Blowout had kind of an interesting upset victory, hit the road, Smooth Like Straight. So you've got a lot of interesting choices and ways you can go. I'm going to go pretty heavily through these three. And see if I can advance. I've certainly got 2 at the top of the market in a really wide open race, and then what I think is a pretty nice long shot that has a chance to outrun the odds. All right, now we're moving into the distaff, and for us, Latruska is the number 1 selection, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Latruska is the best horse in this division without question. Obviously had kind of the interesting workout, which is probably the Breeders' Cup story of the week right now. Biggest threat to Latruska, I think, is Malathat. And that's probably unfair to someone as accomplished as She Dares the Devil. It's just my belief that Malathat is just one of those horses that can absolutely do exactly what she needs to do to win. I know she had the one race where that didn't quite pan out for her. but I don't really love a lot of the other horses in here. I think you're talking about the top three, Latruska, She Dares the Devil, and Malathot. I think they are pretty well clear of the rest of this field. My live long shot's going to be Horologist. Horologist is a speed horse, but I like that Horologist is sort of able to see what Latruska does and play off of it, being directly to the outside. I'm not saying that that Horologist can carry that speed all the way around, but I do think it puts it in an interesting position to watch what Latruska does and then make the call from there. Moving on now to the turf. And this is a race where you have to kind of make your decision as to which camp you're in. Are you American or are you European? And I struggled with that as well. Our numbers came out and said domestic spending is the horse to beat in this spot. I'm not sure how much I really love that idea. Based on what we have, a number of these horses all look the same on paper in terms of things like class. Things are very competitive in terms of form, and that makes it extremely difficult to create massive amounts of separation. The other horse that is an obvious threat would be the 13 Tarnawa. Now, domestic spending does get a little bit better draw, although I do worry a little bit about, with both of them being late kicking horses, being jammed way down allows the horse to, yes, save ground, but does it then also mean that the horse runs into traffic as they come, whereas Tarnawa can kind of work down and find its spot as needed and then go when it has to go. So Tarnawa is definitely the biggest threat. I will not leave Tarnawa off tickets. In fact, I would probably say if I was handicapping this race, I would have these two flipped for sure. My live long shot's Rock Emperor. Rock Emperor looks like a horse that, assuming all the speed stays in, this race looks like it could get pretty toasty up top. You're going to have a lot of horses coming late, running at the likes of Tribhuvan, Acclimate, some of those horses that are going to try and be up on the lead. Channel Maker, if Channel Maker gets in, which is still up for up to scratches. But I like Rock Emperor as a horse that's run in the best races, has some stamina and foundation underneath, is competitive on speed numbers, and just kind of doesn't rate out tops in any of our categories, but I shouldn't say that, is rated tied for first in both form and class, but isn't going to be the one that sits at the top of the charts for any of these things, but does seem like a horse that could definitely have a factor underneath. And turf races are really weird in the way that they set up, and they could end up getting Rock Emperor home at a really nice price for the bettors. And then last but not least, we've got the big one. We've got the Breeders' Cup Classic. I personally am a big fan of gray horses. I love gray horses. And we have two really great gray horses in this race. My top pick is Nix Go. Now, the one challenge is Medina Spirit is going to run with Nix Go. And they're going to try and go to the front because they both do one thing, and that is they run their hearts out. And they run super fast, and they keep running super fast until they've broken the spirit of everybody that's left, and then they just finish the race. And that's what these horses do, and there is some concern that those two connect with one another. I don't think Medina Spirit can do what Nix Go does as fast as Nix Go does it. Therefore, I don't think Medina Spirit has a chance. I think Essential Quality has the best chance to threaten Nix Go, because if Nix Go does get challenged by Medina Spirit and they break each other, then you have to trust the 2-year-old champ, who will be the 3-year-old champ. I think you have to trust that horse, who's just proven time and time again. I mean, he's come within, a length or so of being the Kentucky Derby champion and still being undefeated to this point in his career. Hot Rod Charlie, legit. I can definitely hear that argument. I think Hot Rod Charlie is a player and has to be respected. I think, honestly, if you're looking for somebody to come off the pace, if I were just doing this without the 10-1 stipulation, Max Player would probably be my next pick. But I'm going to go with Tripoli, because at this point, if I don't get Nix Go home, If I don't get Essential Quality home, I can't use Hot Rod Charlie because he's 4-1. I can't use Max Player because he's 8-1. That also takes Art Collector out of the deal. Um, if I'm really looking for a bomb to fill things out, Tripoli's where I'm going to go. Uh, I don't know how likely it is that Tripoli gets there. I think this one has chalk written all over it. I think you're going to end up seeing Knicks Go, Essential Quality, Hot Rod Charlie. I really think that some combination of those three is going to be your trifecta. I could be wrong. Medina Spirit has proven to be all heart. Maybe he hangs on. Maybe he outlasts Knicks Go. We've certainly seen Knicks Go fold like a cheap lawn chair once, okay, or twice in his career. But at the same time, I feel like this horse is in such good form. And then you're just gonna have two really good tactical 3-year-olds underneath. I love this 3-year-old crop, and I think they're gonna play a big part. But I still think Knicks Go is just the best here, and it's going to be tough to beat. So that's where we land for that. With that, I want to say thank you for tuning in, for watching this video, and for supporting T3 Handicapping. As a thank you for that, couple of things. Number one, if you're still watching this video, I want to make sure that you put your top selections. Just go ahead and make a comment down in the comment section of the YouTube video before the first Breeders' Cup race. If your best bet of the whole weekend wins, then I will put your name in a drawing for free access to all of our for all of our products for the month of November. And then the other thing I want to do for you is, if you're interested in using our products tomorrow, I think it's really important, if you're going to use a new product, to get some practice with it before you do. So if you use the code STREAM, all lowercase, at checkout tomorrow for the Thursday card, you can get all of Thursday's tracks for free. So that's we've got Indiana Grand tomorrow. We've got Finger Lakes, Gulfstream, Churchill, and Del Mar. That Del Mar one will give you a chance to get a feel for our product, to use our product, so that you can come back on Friday and Saturday and use our product with confidence. Those products are up on our website now. And again, for watching this tonight, use the code STREAM, all lowercase, and you'll get tomorrow's cards. You'll get tomorrow's race summaries and tomorrow's pick sheets totally free. Put them in your cart, and then use the code STREAM at checkout, and it'll be all free. Thank you for supporting T3 Handicapping, whether this is your first time hearing about us or whether you've purchased our products before. We really appreciate it. Good luck at the Breeders' Cup. Cash those tickets.